somebody jumps up and says, you know, Bernie, this $7.25 minimum wage, the federal level, it's a starvation wage. We got to raise it to $15 an hour. The person next to her would have said, $15 an hour? What are you smoking? Which is another issue we got to deal with. But 5 years ago, going from $7.25 to $15 was thought to be incredibly radical. But then what happened is that workers in the fast food industry, in McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, they went out on strike. And they told the world that they cannot make it on $7.25 an hour. And then you know what happened? Up in the state of Washington, in Seattle, Washington, City Council raised minimum wage to $15 an hour, and then LA did it, San Francisco did it, California, New York. And if I'm elected president, we're going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour in every state in this country. Now, what is my point in giving you this brief lecture on American history? My point is that change, real change, never takes place without struggle, and also that real change only takes place when people by the millions look around them and say the status quo is not working. We're not going to accept worker exploitation. We're not going to accept racism. We're not going to accept sexism. We're not going to accept homophobia. And today, all over this country, people are looking at the status quo, and they're asking very fundamental questions. Is it acceptable in America that we have a grotesque level of income and wealth inequality, where almost all new wealth and income is going to the top 1%? And people all over this country are saying, not acceptable. And people are saying, is it acceptable that women are making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men? People are saying, not acceptable. At a time when we are seeing a proliferation of millionaires and billionaires, and we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth, over 20% of our kids are living in poverty, people are saying, not acceptable. At a time when the middle class continues to decline and people have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to survive, people are saying, not acceptable. People look around the world and they say, hey, in Germany, in Britain, France, all these other major countries, they all have health care as a right. We are the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child. Not acceptable. Every other major country guarantees paid family and medical leave. A mom has a baby, she has a right to stay home with that baby, not be forced to go to work. But in this country, we're the only major country, doesn't guarantee that right. Not acceptable. In America today, hundreds of thousands of bright young kids, fully qualified, can't go to college because of the lack of income of their families, while others are graduating deeply in debt. Germany, Scandinavia, countries around the world provide free tuition at public colleges and universities. We don't. Not acceptable. We're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. Not acceptable. And people all over this country are looking at what's going on in America, and they have reached the conclusion that we have a corrupt campaign finance system, we have a rigged economy, We have a broken criminal justice system which has more people in jail than any other country. We have a Wall Street where the business model there is based on fraud. And people all over this country are looking at the status quo and they are saying louder and louder, not acceptable. And that is what this campaign and the political revolution is about. It is about going outside of the options that the media often presents to us or that members of Congress often present to us. We are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Now, nobody knows that because almost all the new income and wealth is going to the top 1%. But if we stand together, if we do not allow the Donald Trumps of the world to divide us up, if we stand together, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. Now, what the establishment wants you to do is to think small. Oh, we can't have health care for all people. Somehow every other major country can do it, but somehow we just can't. Oh, we cannot make public colleges and universities tuition free. Oh, we cannot guarantee paid family and medical leave. Oh, no, we can't raise the minimum wage to a living wage. We can't do that. It's too radical. We got to leave the billionaires alone and allow the rich to get richer while everybody else gets poorer. I say no. I say we can make real change in this country. But I will also tell you something that no other candidate for president will tell you. And that is no president, not Bernie Sanders, not Barack Obama, not anybody, can do it alone. The only way that real change takes place, the only way we take on Wall Street and corporate America and the corporate media and the wealthy campaign contributors is when millions of people from coast to coast stand up, fight back, and demand a government which represents all of us, not just the 1%. Now, on June 7th, there is going to be a very, very important Democratic primary here in the great state of Montana. And what we have learned throughout this campaign is we do well when there are large voter turnouts, when working people and young people stand up and fight back and come out and vote. My hope is that on June 7th, here in Montana, you will have the largest voter turnout in the Democratic primary in the history of the state. And my hope is that this beautiful state, and let me tell you something, this is a beautiful state. That this beautiful state will help lead the nation into the political revolution. Thank you all.